Hi, and welcome to Gogo Diaries Story Time. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story.
Welcome to Gogo Diary Sweden. Today is a special day. As I begin to pack my bags to go back to Sweden, there is just one more thing that I had to do, and that is have a conversation with my lovely niece, Mutsa, whom I have known since she was a baby, and I've held her hand at intervals in her life, like tetes are supposed to do in our culture. Because she's my brother's daughter, it is my responsibility, according to our culture, to make sure that she comes out right. Whether she came out right, I leave it to someone else. But Mutsa, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really lovely to have you here. I can't believe that you are now a young woman whom I'm actually having an adult conversation with.
No. We've come a long way.
We have come a long way. Yeah. We'll talk about
We'll talk about
that.
later, off camera. Off camera.
But Mutsa, apart from being my family, there's a very good reason, a very objective reason why we are having this conversation. And the biggest reason of all is that you were born and bred in England,
Yes.
in London,
In London.
yeah?
Yes.
And for the life of me, I would never think, I'd never imagined that in fact we would be here having this conversation with you living in Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
having been born and brought up in England.
Yeah. So you want to know why?
I want to know why.
Why and how and what?
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of things, really. I don't think I can pin it down to one thing. At the end, I think right now what I can say is that what I value in life, I find there is more of it here. You know, each place has its pros and its cons, its challenges and whatever.
Fully.
But I would rather talk. I would rather deal with the challenges here. There's more room. Yeah. I mean, you know what? The UK is full of structure, which can be good. It can be reliable, but also it can be restricting. And there's room here to kind of flow. There's sun here, and there's fresh fruit here, and there isn't that bitter, cold, grey winter here. And I just.
And there are more smiles here.
And there's more smiles here, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that I'm fortunate that I have the flexibility to go back and forth. So I know that, you know, I'm not your everyday Zimbabwean in that respect. But I'm just trying to take advantage of all of my opportunities because I think for a while I felt guilty about having that flexibility, but I think I'm just growing into taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being comfortable about doing that.
It is good to be flexible. I'm
Yeah.
also learning.
Yes, you are.
For years I was resisting it.
Yeah.
But now I'm actually beginning to see the advantage of actually belonging to both worlds.
Yeah.
But like you say, Zimbabwe is special.
It really is.
I could not trade it for anything.
Yeah, it really is special. Yeah, I mean, just the air alone, just being able to wake up and it's mostly sunny. The sunsets you get every day. It's beautiful.
At what point do you think you said this is it? I'm going to settle in Zimbabwe.
It was about 4.5 years ago. I hadn't been to Zim for about 5 years, and I came from my Sakuru's funeral. And so in that time, I was I just came for the funeral. I was also contracting for the British Council at that time, doing with the East Africa Arts branch, and I came and I thought, oh, it feels good here. It feels good here, and the work I was doing was very flexible. I could live anywhere as long as I was making my conference calls and doing my work on time. It was fine. So at that point, I just thought, why? And then I remember now that combined with then going back to London, it being winter, and just thinking, why am I still choosing as an adult? Why am I still choosing to be cold? To be cold and miserable? Why am I doing that? And I just thought, no. Now Zimbabwe feels good to me. Let me just go back.
And you could work anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
As long as there was internet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So you came back.
Yeah, so I came
continued
back.
with your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that wasn't your first interaction with Zimbabwe.
No.
When was the first time that you actually came to Zimbabwe for a stint? I know as a child you came for holidays.
Yeah.
But at some point then you said, I want to go and spend a longer period.
Yeah. I think that was during my gap year.
Were you about 16?
No, I must have been, hold on a minute. Yes, 16, 17-ish. Maybe turning 17. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, I was older, sorry. I was about
You were
18.
older. You were 18?
Yeah, because my gap year before going to uni.
Okay.
Yeah. And I came to stay with you. I think it was at least 6 weeks, maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
And I was volunteering at this charity in town called Streets Ahead.
Streets Ahead.
Yeah. Working with
Street kids.
Street children, yeah,
Yeah.
street kids. And that was just my way of trying to find out what I wanted to do or how I could be here, because even before that, if I think back, if I think further back, I was born in London and I went to school in London, but my house was Zimbabwean. And I was always told by my parents,
Yeah.
this is not your place, you have a home, Zimbabwe is your home.
Wow.
So that was always kind of in my mind in some way, and I think I was always figuring out, okay, but how would I make it work in Zim in the way that I'd seen life in Zim? How would I get a 9-to-5 job? Would I have my own thing? Like, what was I going to do?
So even as a child, you'd have those thoughts.
Yeah, and I think a part of me, I loved it. I loved that when I went to school, people couldn't say my name properly, and I loved the difference that I had because of where I came from. So that was always in the back of my mind in various ways. I think
So you were always Zimbabwean.
Always.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I'm half Zimbabwean, I'm half British, I remember, or half whatever. My parents would laugh at me at some point because no, Mutsa, you're Zimbabwean.
You're just Zimbabwean. Yeah.
There's no half and half.
I remember you learning Shona
Yeah.
and getting on the combis. And
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You'd get on the combis and you'd practice.
I would do that.
Yeah, to say, that is my where I get off the combi.
Oh,
And one day you said it and nobody battered an eyelid, and you came
so
home
excited.
You were so excited that you had said it properly.
And no one had said
Like a Zimbabwean, like a Shona person.
I remember.
Yeah.
Shona is still something I'm trying to work on.
You're good enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I was so happy.
Yeah. So you came to Zim during your gap year,
Yes.
and you spent at least 6 weeks working with street kids.
Yeah.
And you loved it.
Yeah.
And then I remember, where did Zambia come in?
So then Zambia came in because, so after that experience here, I then went to uni. I then lived in New York for a bit, in Thailand for a bit, doing an MBA. And then I got back to England. And I was like, okay, so what do I do now? And at that point I was very focused on an NGO life. That was that's where I found that was the area where I felt people were doing the work that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I was going about looking for jobs within NGOs, but it's that whole catch-22. You need experience to get experience, and So I just thought, okay, let me just create my own project to prove that I have experience to do what I want to do. So that's where the Zambia project came in, and that was me going back and forth to Zambia. I created a HIV-led peer education arts project. So I would work a temp in London, which is office admin temp work, raise money, do fundraisers and stuff, go to Zambia for a few months, come back, do the same thing. I lasted for about four years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you actually, I remember one young man you actually sent through college.
Oh, Josias. Yeah,
Yes.
he's now a journalist.
Oh. So he's now a journalist.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really lovely.
Yeah.
So when I look at that,
Yeah.
it looks like your parents had a huge influence
Yeah.
on you
Yeah.
in a positive way. That even though you were born and bred in London, their lifestyle, they allowed people in your space
Yeah.
from Zim
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Each time I came to visit, there would be.
At one point, I think about we were living with 5 of my cousins who'd come from Zim, so it was always there. And also, I was really fortunate that I think from the ages of about 10 to maybe 15, I was back and forth for every holiday, every summer holiday.
You came to Zim.
Yeah, which is really
a lot of
a
travel.
big deal and a lot of travel.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that definitely helped.
So in a way, Zimbabwe was not a strange place. It was always home
Yeah.
in your mind.
Yeah.
And at some point you tell yourself that I'm here, but I'll go home.
Yeah, exactly. It just felt good here, and some people say that I romanticize it a bit, and maybe I do, but anyway.
Yeah.
Or whenever the plane would land and I just get out of the plane and smell the air,
Yeah.
I could actually feel my soul go,
I'm home. I'm home.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really did and does feel like that to me.
Yeah.
And London is home in a different kind of way. I mean, I have friends there, I still have family there,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's not home.
It's not home.
Yeah. It's not home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the first lockdown happened.
Yeah.
If you remember, you were in London, and you asked me a question.
Yeah.
Where do I locked down
Yeah,
in?
I did.
And I said, where do you feel you can be
Yeah.
for the next 2 years?
Yeah. You did say that.
Yeah. If you are comfortable being in London for 2 years, then get locked down in London.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a long haul.
Yeah, and if I paint that picture for you, at that time I was in my room on my bed, and outside it was winter, so it was just grey outside, and obviously all the panic was surrounding me, and I was just texting you. So at that moment, I just was like, okay, I have to go back to
Yeah,
Zimbabwe.
and you said,
I have to go
right,
back.
I'm coming.
Yeah, so
And you came just in time.
just in time. I think it was a week before Zimbabwe went into lockdown.
Yes,
And I really made the best decision, because I can't imagine spending lockdown. Like my friends who did that in London, with all the walls you have, and at least here, if you're restricted, you still
get out.
and there's sun.
Yeah.
Sun is so important.
Yeah.
So we really are solar powered creatures. So to not have sun for so long, it's actually we're at a deficit. So especially for black people.
Yeah.
Um,
So now
Yeah.
you then say, okay, I'm settling down in Zim.
Yeah.
I can see Uchi on the table.
Yes.
How did it get to that?
So at the time when I messaged you, I'd been working on this idea, designing whatever for maybe like a year with a designer. Her name's Jaya. And so we were working it for a year, and then it got to lockdown, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I have to do something. And let me just start selling the honey. So I started selling honey during
Why
lockdown.
did you choose honey though?
Because I love honey. I love honey so much. I love honey so much. And I was finding it really tricky to find good honey in Harare, actual real honey, at a decent price. So that then coupled with my, I guess, like growing frustration that, I guess it's just the effects of colonization really, where the food knowledge here amongst the everyday Zimbabwean in Harare, I'm not going to speak for the whole of Zimbabwe, that's not been my experience, was just a bit warped. And there's that notion that white is right, like has spread to food.
Yeah.
So even when it comes to sadza, people will prefer to have polenta than maybe gio or whatever.
Yeah.
There's even like a status attached to it. Never mind the pricing of it.
Gio is finger millet, the small grains.
And it's so good. It's so good.
It is good, yeah.
But there's a status attached with that. If you're eating that, why are you eating that kind of food?
You don't have money, it's not good for status.
It's not good for status.
And it is good for your body.
It's so good for your body. Polenta doesn't do anything for you.
Because it's a refined maize.
Yeah, it's like white bread and the brown bread, or all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Even white rice versus that red rice.
Yes, yeah.
Which is so tasty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all of that combined, I just thought, and also I like pretty things. So those three things combined, let me just try and find a way to, package honey in a nice, attractive way, but also make it available and just be really brand focused and trying to educate people on the benefits of honey.
Yeah.
Of huchi.
Of huchi. Yeah. Honey is huchi.
Yes.
In Shona. And let's talk about your honeys.
Yeah.
Where do you source your honey?
Okay.
I know that there are times when you would say, Teta, when you harvest, I need some combs.
Yes.
Yeah, and somehow don't get it done properly. And yeah.
So I started selling. I was on the road trip, and I was coming back from Eastern Highlands. On the way back, there was a woman. I just noticed she had jars of honey, and I got really excited. So stop the car. I have to go and see the honey.
Yeah.
And so I walked up to her, and we were just talking. I said, "How good is your honey? Really? Is it really real honey?" Like, kind of. Said, "No. Once you taste it, you'll just fall in love."
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, right. Like, how good can this honey be?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I think I bought 8 jars. I think I gave you some.
You did.
I
remember.
gave you some
I remember
jars.
you did.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And then it came in the standard plastic jars.
Like the peanut butter jars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Peanut butter ones, yellow lids.
350 mils.
Yeah. And so at that time I was also reconsidering my contract with the British Council, and I thought maybe this could be something that I could explore more. So I called the people on the honey.
Yeah.
And spoke to them and said, could I work with you to maybe help with rebranding your honey and supplying it to people in Harare, because they didn't have anyone buying it in Harare, right? Yeah. So they're called Working for Bees, and they're a really good organization. They really care about bees and how you harvest honey, and they're based in Mutsa.
Do you remember
Do you
remember the name of the group?
Of the organization?
Yes.
Working for Bees.
Working for Bees. Yeah.
So they were the first honeybee farmers that I started working with.
Yeah.
And then I remember you invited me to quite a few WhatsApp groups about beekeeping and honey harvesting. So through that now I've got a network of about 3 suppliers, 3 honeybee farmers that I work with. And it means that I now have because honey's seasonal. People don't really know that, but it's seasonal. So it now means that I've got a variety of suppliers throughout the year for different honeys, which I find that people find really interesting here, because we're just taught that honey is this brown runny liquid that always looks the same when it's on the shelves all year round in the supermarket, and it isn't. As you can see, there's so many different colours and tastes.
So let's talk about these honey jars that are in front of me.
Yes.
There's this one.
Yes.
Eucalyptus.
Yes. So go on.
Yeah. And for me, what I find exciting with your jars, there's always a picture.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
So I work with a designer called Jaya Modi, and when I was talking to her about the kind of feel I wanted for Hoochie Hoochie, I wanted it to be something that was fun to look at, but also I really wanted it to be represent Black people in a positive way, and in a way that wasn't like an NGO would. There's a lot I find with what I found so far with African produce is that sometimes the branding of it can feel quite charity-like, and that we need a helping hand and help save us. And I didn't want that, but I still wanted it to show that it was like.
It was original.
Yeah.
It was African,
Yeah.
and it is something that you are proud of.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.